Food security and food sovereignty. These words are used to explain the difficulties facing Indigenous people in remote areas, specifically the North. Food security is the measure of the availability of food and a person's access to it. For people in the North, the cost of the food itself is a threat to food security. In remote communities, the cost of everyday items can be difficult for most families. According to Max Liboiron, an ocean scientist of Métis descent in St. John's, Newfoundland, the presence of plastics in marine life could cut off traditional and alternative food sources, making food security even harder to achieve.
Today, I am picking berries for my friend and research partner, Liz, because I'm going to go up to Nain, and I always now bring them food. Food security and food sovereignty are really big deals in Nain and in the North in general, because the food is so expensive. So like I once bought $12 milk up in Nain. And so it just eases some of that. Also gets good, healthy, fresh food in there. And it's also a form of thank you and gratitude because they host me and give me fish regardless of whether I bring anything up. So bringing food, sharing food, eating together, it's part of coming into someone else's territory, being hosted by them, being greeted by them. So it's really important for a bunch of reasons. My lab is named CLEAR. That stands for the Civic Laboratory for Environmental Action Research. It means that the science we do is aligned with things that people need, not just scientists, and it's based in doing something, not just knowing things for the sake of knowing them. CLEAR studies plastic pollution, which a lot of other labs do, but the way we do it is very different than almost any other lab. We foreground humility, we do it with accountability, and we do it in good land relations. So you can think of our work as like an ethic. You always want to be in good land relations. And so we try and be that in every moment of our science. Because if you understand colonialism as non-Indigenous access to Indigenous land and life, if you've made it disposable, you just know it's going to have to be absorbed by the land. Even if you regulate it up to only a certain amount, everything under that certain amount, the land has to just deal with. And that's a very colonial land relation. So even something like a beach cleanup, if you're trying to clean up plastics, but that's on Indigenous land and you go without permission, that's also colonial. We're always invited to the places we do science. So I work closely with the Nunatsiavut government to monitor plastic pollution in their territories and waters. So there's this concept of bioaccumulation, which means when something low on the food chain eats something, they have a certain amount, but then its predator eats it, and they eat a lot of those, and so they have more of that chemical and more and more. We look at a whole range of things that people catch for food to keep an eye on what people are eating. We're in CLEAR Lab. This is where the magic happens. So it's called the wet lab because this is where we process all the wet, gooey stuff, water, snow, animal intestines, sort of stuff that Liz sends us. It's also where we meet as a group, as a lab collective, to think about how to do that science better in a way that doesn't have colonial land relations, but has different land relations too. And that takes a lot of conversations, that takes a lot of signage, that takes a lot of work. And so that's all in this space as well. This fridge is entirely seal. So seals are big, and so they have big guts, and so these are big bags full of big guts. This is a smaller seal. This would be its stomach. These are the intestines. We actually section it into different parts, one stomach and then 2 or 3 parts of the intestine, because this is very, very long. The seal gets every bit of nutrients out of food by having an enormously long intestine. And it takes us very, very long to sample it. So we usually divide it up into sections. There you are. Hello.
Hi.
So there's a couple of things I have to ask you, and then if you have anything for me, we can go from there. The first one is, how many coolers am I bringing up? Do you have samples for me to take down?
Yes, I have fish.
Fish.
And did I send you them seals? I did, hey.
You sent me some seals. You got more seals?
Okay, so I must have gave you all of them then.
That's good.
I have some more charguts.
Okay. No birds?
But I do have coolers here from the last time, so.
I might as well bring some up and use them like suitcases.
Yeah.
Oh, the dinner. I'm gonna make you and everybody dinner in the research center one of the nights.
As long as it's not vegan.
It's not vegan, I promise. You said healthy, and I just really misinterpreted that you wanted vegetable pizza. Took you to vegan instead. Scallops. What about scallops? You guys want scallops?
We got them here.
Well, see, you guys have all the meat I have, except for I have chicken and turkey.
Okay.
I also-
But mine is,
My what?
but mine is fresh.
Yeah, yours is fresh and from there. Yeah, it's better. Ours here is like farmed and whatever.
Yeah, I'll just look for the salmon.
Okay, and I'll look for exciting meat that you don't have, but I bet I won't find any. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's not tofu.
I promise not to bring you tofu.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'll see you soon. Talk to you later.
Okay. Have a safe trip.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Yeah. Oh, food. Putting a dinner together for a large group of people in the north is a logistical feat. So I have to bring up a bunch of my own dishes because I'm going to be staying, and cookware because I'm going to be staying in the research center, which just has like a hot plate. I have to bring up everything that isn't perishable or can be frozen because first of all, I can't afford to buy it there, especially not for that many people. Food and a little bit of scientific equipment. Clothes and scientific equipment. All food. We're going to Nain on that little plane. It's really expensive to get to Nain. It's in the Arctic. It's more expensive for me to travel inside this province than across Canada to British Columbia. So we don't go up very often. This dinner is really important because even though I've been working with Liz for about 3.5 years, we've finally clicked into a unit that is a single unit. And part of that is because she's been feeding me and mostly sending me home with Char, but so have her coworkers, some of whom I haven't met yet. And so it's time for the entire team to gel and to have gratitude and respect and reciprocity and yeah, know each other over food. It's really important.
Nain, like most remote northern communities, relies on the constant flow of air and ship cargo from the south to keep the community fed and the supply chain moving. The cost of moving these goods is very high, and any disruption from bad weather creates the risk of food shortages.
God, how much food do you bring a child?
Heaviest food I could find. Only one out of the coolers came up, but it's everything we need for tonight.
Was you overweight or too much baggage or what?
Both overweight and too much baggage.
Annoying, eh?
Yeah. So even though there was a little room, like not all the seats were full, but we'll see if the rest of the coolers come up tomorrow. And if not, I'll send it up PAL Cargo, and then you'll still get your coffee, but you'll also get all of my instant noodles and all the food I was going to bring for myself.
But you do have supper stuff.
We have supper, and I have enough underwear for today and tomorrow. So,
Most important stuff, food and underwear.
yeah. And I have to get milk before tonight, like that kind of stuff, eggs, but that's it.
Do you want to drop to the store now or?
Yeah, is that easy? Yeah, that'd be great.
Nain is mostly made of Inuit. It's my hometown. You wave to everybody, you know everybody. The prices in the stores in Nain is crazy. It's maddening, very sad really. It's like no wonder that people rather buy pop and chips rather than milk or something healthy.
It's $13. Today, we are sampling for shoreline plastics, microplastics, so very small plastics that probably wash up from the ocean and then get stuck. And those plastics can be very, very far away, or they can come from somewhere local, and this method helps us figure some of that out. So the first thing, you figure out where your beach is, or your shoreline is, and then you put your quadrat in a random location. And this is my sophisticated method for locating a random location. That's our spot.
My name is Joseph O'Malley. I am 17 years of age, and I live in Nain, Labrador. Working on the beach with Max, doing the quadrat sampling and such was amazing. It was great because I felt like I was learning more, and they're so intelligent, and I feel like they have so much knowledge that they can teach me, and I'm so excited to be able to learn. Food security to me means to be able to have access to your needs of food, to be able to not feel like you have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from. And it's sad because in Nain, not many people have the luxury of not having to worry about that. A lot of people are wondering where their next meal is coming from, and again, that's why I think the community freezer does such a good service to the community.
In Nain, a large industrial freezer serves as a stopgap for people needing food. It is supplied by donations from industry and community.
So this is our community freezer. Right now we have chicken and we have char. Community freezer is very important because it helps people that do not have access to the land. Elders can access the land. Anybody who lives in Nain can access the community freezer.
I am trying to cook for a whole lot of people to say thank you, which means I need to cook kind of good. So a lot of people confuse food sovereignty and food security. Food sovereignty means the right to access culturally appropriate food. So your traditional food, your medicines. Food security means access to healthy and affordable food, which can include carrots, which may or may not have anything to do with your culture. So studies coming out of Nunatsiavut that the Nunatsiavut government have done have shown that you have higher food security if you have good social networks of people sharing food, because that evens it out. It evens out the peaks and the valleys for the entire community when people share food. So when it's hard to get affordable food or healthy food, when people share, more people eat more often, better, healthier food. This is looking good. Bison or buffalo, which are two different but related animals, are really important to Métis people. It's part of our cultural heritage and traditional food. So this is part of a gift that is, from me to them, from Métis to Inuit. Yes. So this is a thank you to show my gratitude. It's to show that we are a group and a team and a circle, and not just a bunch of random people working towards a goal or something like that, but like we're bound. And so we're gonna be bound through this food also. And this is bison pasta, bison, like Métis bison. So this is not exactly traditional because we did not have gluten-free pasta traditionally in the bush, nor pesto, but the bison, yes. And this is cornbread, gluten-free cornbread also, with some blueberry jam, where I picked the blueberries myself and turned it into the jam myself. Potato cakes, a bunch of different kinds. It's potato cake roulette. Some of them have char in them, some of them don't. Some of them have chanterelles in them, some of them don't. I picked the chanterelles myself.
Okay, can we eat now? You're making me drool. Sounds good.
Okay, all right. Who wants the first slightly mangled cornbread? Comes out mangled. Yeah. There you go. Who wants the second slightly less mangled cornbread?
Take a slightly mangled.
It's actually a relief to be able to do something official and semi-ceremonial and like accepted to show gratitude. It always seems insufficient to just use words because it doesn't really show it. And so I feel like this is a major accomplishment in good relations, and it's always nice to have those sort of packed in. To be able to bring a lot of good, healthy, delicious, celebratory food up here in a place that is often food insecure, to be able to run plates to everyone who couldn't make it, to be able to invite everyone, including young people, is part of that gratitude, and it's extra.
I don't know.
Back in St. John's, Max is getting ready to receive a training group from Nain.
Waiting for Liz and Joseph to arrive so we can do training today and tomorrow.
Locally based researchers are trained on the data collection process as part of a unique partnership between the Nunatsiavut government, the community of Nain, Clear Labs, and Memorial University. This training allows communities to have an active role in the science and allows their perspectives to be voiced.
I'm excited and nervous, like first day of school. Joseph's never been in the lab before. He's never been trained by me before. So we're gonna see how this goes. Hey!
Hi.
Found you.
Yeah?
Finally.
Good trip? All right, let's go. The first thing we need to do is put on lab coats. And
Pink Joseph?
yeah, so the reason that they're pink, I hate pink, personally, because it offends my sense of masculinity. But the reason they're pink is that if we find pink microfibers, we know they almost certainly came from these coats, because you almost never find pink plastics like in nature. All right. So these are like kits that we make for training. The most important thing we have here are your sieve set. Pachow. All right, so we're gonna get some guts. So we stick this in the sieves. We want intestine and stomach. And what we've started doing is dividing the sampling of the intestine from the stomach, because we find very different types of plastics in there, and you can tell how long the plastics have been in. So first we'll do one, and then we'll do the other. There we go. So see, nothing splashing out. So I'm pretty sure that there's no more innards left in the stomach. So I take it and I put it back into the bag for the land. We're done with that now. So next we take it to a microscope.
For 2 days, Joseph and Liz will learn how to detect plastics in marine life and record that data to help determine the safety of the food chain.
So you know when you have spaghetti or curry and you can't get the orange color out of your Tupperware? That's because the tomato paste is attached to the plastic. Plastic attaches to oily chemicals. So in the ocean, when plastics are floating along, all of the oily chemicals, PCBs, flame retardants, they attach to the plastics at really high rates. And so when a fish eats them, those chemicals then come out of the plastic and into the fish. And that's what we're worried about more than plastics.
Did you catch that? It's not so much the plastics, but the chemicals in the water that have attached themselves to the plastics. Toxins such as oil, heavy metals, and waste. These chemicals go directly in the wildlife, the same wildlife that the people of Nain rely upon as a food source. If the wildlife is unfit to eat, then people's food security is heavily impacted.
I see a lot of scales. I thought they look like little contact lenses. The microscope makes you lose your spot, like it's I don't know if it's reverse or something.
I sincerely agree that with Liz when she says you just look up from the microscope and you lose your spot.
Main purpose of the work is to see if our food is healthy, contaminant-free. We do a lot of work in mercury, and right now we're working on microplastics. We rely on the food source. It's very natural for us to get our own food, and making sure it's healthy is very important.
All right. So this is Lady, the low-tech aquatic debris instrument. Lady is named in contravention to the manta trawl. Basically, she's a surface water trawl, right? So the water comes through here, into the net, and then down into the cod end. And that's our sample, right, which you already know. So you always want to make sure that the water's, and this is the trickiest and most important part, you always want to make sure the water's somewhere here in the mouth and not down here or not up there. This part always stays screwed in and put together, and we actually never take off the arms. I know sometimes you do to pack her up, but it's such a pain to get them on and off because the wood swells. So we're gonna make you a metal one that won't swell. But mostly what we do is put the cod end on or off. So I'm gonna have you do that. Will you demonstrate for me how to procure a sample?
Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Mm-hmm. And you can see you've evened it up just a little bit. You don't really want to do more. Slide it off. And then here, I have your fake sample bag. Very nice. A little bit of hydrogen peroxide.
Yep. Full of hydrogen peroxide.
Label it. Totally done. So what we're going to do is we're going to package Lady up and go out to a bridge, actually. So you can deploy Lady, usually off a boat is what you and Liz do, and you have it on an arm. But you can also do it off bridges with moving water, and so that's what we're going to do. All right, let's put her in. So before you put anything in the water, you tie on a leash in case your main lead breaks.
Okay.
So this is Lady's leash. It's white. Okay, fling her.
You gonna swing it?
Let's just drop her, see if the water's going. Keep going, keep going. See, water's going good now. There we go. She is a trawl. Woohoo. All right, so you can see the water's going through her, and there's like a stick there that's making decisions about which side it's gonna go on. And as the water passes through, it's gonna collect in the very end, in the cod end, which we can't see right now. And we'll hold this for about half an hour. We time it. We'll write down the time in and the time out, and the flow meter will say how long. And that way we can say how many plastics per, meter of water or something like that.
To be able to experience this training day and to be able to go through all this and learn all these new things has just been phenomenal for me. Personally, I feel a lot smarter, I guess, than I felt going into it. And also, I feel like I can do more and I feel more of use in the freezer and research center.
Through the continued work between Max, Liz, and their partners, a picture will start to emerge on the state of food security and food sovereignty inside the North. Even though little can be done to lower the price of a box of cereal in a grocery store, initiatives such as the Community Freezer do offer other food sources for families in line with traditional sharing practices. In this way, the more the community works together to better the situation for everyone, the better the situation becomes.